Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. And if this is actually your first time, make sure you do consider hitting that subscribe button. And everyone, please hit that thumbs up button. It does help out the channel immensely. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Today, we're going to be talking about garden railroading. If y'all remember back in May, there was a garden railroad tour happening here locally, and we were able to go check that out. So I figured what we would do is we would take some of those layouts, make individual videos on them, cover them specifically because there were just some really cool things in each one. Today's layout is actually a really interesting one. It's what I would call like a three-dimensional, basically backyard layout. There's some really cool aspects of it. So let's just jump in and check this out. Now, we'll look at these trolleys here for a moment. They're here at the top. This layout is very three-dimensional. This person's backyard is sloped. It's actually sloping down into a lake. And because of that, they've had some, I guess I wouldn't even call them hardships, because they've clearly dealt with these like in a really interesting manner. But when it comes to the actual layout itself, there have been some obstacles and things like that they've had to overcome. So right here at the top, and I will emphasize the top, you'll see what I mean when we get down towards the bottom of the layout here. They've basically built more or less just a reversible trolley track, as well as the top loop of what eventually becomes the body, I guess, of the railroad. Now, here coming towards the center of the railroad, you'll begin to see more of this is more of just, this is not an operations layout, but to be fair, most garden layouts are not operations layout. This is literally just for running trains and just the general enjoyment and really ambience. Now, in the background here, you're going to see this massive mountain, and it is huge. It is not a piece of natural landscape, and we'll talk more about that here in a moment. It is a mountain that they have built so that we can get trains up and down layers. It's not really a helix per se, but you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Now, almost all of these levels are pretty much connected, but they do run these in blocks, which is really interesting. This electrical box you see in front of us is actually what's controlling most of the blocks. We'll actually talk about the brains behind the operation here in a moment as well, but we're going to go down here. We're not quite going to go through this tunnel. We're going to loop back around, and then the train's going to go literally all the way back up. And it's a heck of a trip. It is a long trip back all the way to the top where we originally started our tour from. And you can now start to get like a bit of a grasp of how massive this layout is and how many tiers and how many different elevation changes there are. But going back towards this tunnel, this is not the end of the line. There's literally a whole other loop on the back side of this tunnel. And this is, I guess the way they had it set up here was this little Thomas village. And you guys know we love Thomas on this channel. I mean, we did a whole day out with Thomas thing. You can't be into trains and not at least, respect what Thomas has brought to the community. But the actual Thomas train here, going through the tunnel, he's going to loop around, and what you guys are going to see is something really interesting. This is a DCC circuit, which most people running G-Scale are either running like my dad runs battery power. I've seen some people run live steam, or just they run track power, but these people are running DCC, and because of that, they were able to set up basically this program where, as you can see, Thomas goes up to one end of the, I guess it's whatever block that they're on. And then when he gets to the end of that starts up Percy. Percy comes around, and Percy will actually then go back into the siding he was originally on, and then Thomas will go again. Now, the people that made this, I talked to them for a little bit. Very cool people. When they actually made this, apparently James here, eventually they're going to work it out so that James will be in that as well. So basically, Thomas will go on a loop, Percy will go on a loop, Thomas will go on a siding, Percy will go back to where Thomas was, and then James will go. So this is whole program that they're going to be working on. So maybe when we come back and review this this layout later on, maybe we'll get to see that. That would be really one of the big perks to doing DCC, and one of the main reasons I'm looking forward to upgrading our layout with DCC. Now we get to, like, I guess you would call it this circus layout. I don't believe this is actually connected. I believe this is its own separate loop. At least I didn't see where it connects back. Maybe we'll see it in the video and I just wasn't paying attention, which there's a decent likelihood. But every single time we've been here at least one other time, maybe two, I think. They always have the circus train going around here. And what's really neat about this layout is really made for just the enjoyment of the rail fan. There's a whole story on this. I forget what the story is, to be totally honest. I didn't get a good shot of the paperwork, but there's a whole story behind that train. I think it was a birthday train or something like that. But very, very, very cool layout. But if we go under here, you'll see there's kind of like a square, a breakout in the center right next to the circus ring itself. And if we go under here, you'll see that it's really made for the kids to come in, pop up, be able to just enjoy the trains going around, yet literally be a part of the scenery, which I think is so super cool. And we had our kids there, and they had their kids, and some of the neighbor kids were there, and they're just able to pop in and out and just really enjoy it. And I think that's one of my favorite things about these garden layouts is, or at least like this style of garden layout, is that it's really made to be interacted with, to be enjoyed. Now we get to the back of the mountain, and you can start to see, it's not really a helix, so to speak, but you can see these kind of loops and entrances and exits, and you can kind of get a grasp of how they built this. It's literally just some wooden lattice work with almost looks like a cotton fabric, and then they put like plaster over the top of it. But I mean, they literally made a mountain. They made a mountain in their backyard just to house all the, I guess, the inner workings of the train. So very cool. And as we get back to the top, you can just get another perspective, now that we've seen the whole thing all the way around, of just how massive this is, and the elevation changes and everything. And this is just, I cannot thank the builders of this layout enough. It's a beautiful layout. Absolutely can't say enough great stuff. And the family was incredibly inviting. But now, of course, we got to see how this thing works. So let's check out the brains of the operation. Now, over here you'll see some bench work, and they've got, a few test tracks. These actually will connect hilariously through a bridge. You can actually drop a bridge, and it will take all the trains over. You can kind of actually see it here. Take all the trains over to the track. But also notice that there's a kind of a control box here, and that is, you'll see that there's a bunch of power supplies, a bunch of DC circuits, and everything like that. This is the brains of the operation, and you can see how much time and effort has actually gone into making this operation function. So very, very, very cool stuff. Thank you so much to this family for letting us come out, check out their garden layout. It was absolutely just one of the coolest things. We'll have more garden layouts to check out here shortly. This was a whole tour, so we've got more garden layouts to check out. We've got all kinds of stuff coming up, so make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you haven't, and I will see you guys again here really soon.